In 2014, a man named Adam and his wife Lily were spending a weekend together on Vancouver Island, something they had done many times before. The couple had a lot of experience camping and exploring the island. Vancouver Island provided the perfect backdrop for camping with its combination of scenic beaches and dense forests. Adam and Lily had enjoyed numerous successful trips on the island, but something truly terrifying happened on what would be their last trip there. The couple had set up camp far from any roads or signs of civilization, enjoying the peace and solitude. They pitched their tent on a secluded beach and kept a fire going. To leave the beach, the trail was about 1 kilometer long along the shore, and then 2 kilometers through the forest to the road. Earlier that day, Adam and Lily had met another camper, Mark, a visitor from Australia, who was planning to sleep in his van parked on the road. Adam and Lily invited Mark to join them by the fire that evening, and the three of them shared a bottle of wine, chatting around the campfire. As the sun began to set, things took a strange turn. The trio started hearing what sounded like female voices coming from the bushes behind them, separating the beach from the forest. It wasn't completely dark yet, so they thought it might just be other hikers or campers nearby, or perhaps the voices were echoing strangely from a boat offshore. Regardless, all three of them distinctly heard the voices, which only added to the growing unease. As night approached, Mark said his goodbyes and started his hike back to his van before it got too dark. Adam and Lily remained by the fire, tending it to keep the eerie voices at bay, which had now continued into the night. The voices were clearly two women speaking, but their words were unintelligible. They seemed to be coming from just beyond the tree line now, much closer than before. The couple stayed up late, feeding the fire and scanning the darkened cove with their flashlight, searching for any signs of a boat or other campers. But the beach was deserted. Around 3 a.m., after the voices had finally faded, Adam and Lily decided to extinguish the fire and go to sleep. They crawled into their tent, but barely 15 minutes had passed when they heard footsteps near their campsite, right by where the fire had been. The footsteps came from the bushes and moved around the camp. Adam and Lily froze, hoping it was just a bear, though black bears on the island are known to be timid around humans. However, the footsteps circled their tent and then retreated back into the woods. 5 minutes later, the footsteps returned, but this time the couple also heard the eerie female voices again, speaking louder now and still in an unintelligible language. The voices didn't make sense. They seemed to be talking over one another, almost like an argument, but at full volume. Adam and Lily lay still, hearts racing as the voices came closer and closer, eventually stopping right over their tent. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the voices fell silent, and the footsteps faded back into the woods. Adam and Lily lay frozen in fear for hours, too terrified to move. The next morning they woke late, packed up their camp, and left the island, never to return. In another story, a pair of hikers, Emma Roberts and Jack Matthews, both residents of Eagle Mountain, Utah, had been exploring the forests surrounding Salt Lake City in search of unusual sights. One day, Emma, while hiking near Cedar Fort, stumbled upon piles of animal bones and discarded junk in the woods. However, things took a bizarre turn when she began finding strange symbols and animal parts arranged in odd formations. Intrigued, she decided to bring her friend Jack along on her next visit to the same trail to show him the unsettling discoveries. On September 15th, Emma and Jack found something even more disturbing than before: a severed deer head surrounded by a pentagram made of deer legs. These gruesome items had not been there during Emma's previous hike. With the sun setting, they snapped a few photos and decided to head back to the car, but the path didn't seem as familiar as they remembered. As darkness settled, the pair soon realized they were lost. Navigating with only their phone flashlights, Emma and Jack both began to feel like they were being watched. The rustling of bushes and trees around them intensified their unease. Panic set in as they quickened their pace, only to hear a deep, guttural scream that chilled them to the bone. It wasn't the cry of any human or animal they had ever heard. Emma refused to look back, but Jack, unable to resist, glanced behind them and claimed to see a large black figure following them. It was too big to be a person. By sheer luck, the pair found their way back to the car and escaped whatever was pursuing them. Upon doing some research, Emma discovered reports of cult activity and numerous unsolved murders in the area, further cementing their decision never to return. Another story takes place in the dense woods of northern Germany, where two friends, Alex and Paul, were hiking through an area that was once part of the German Democratic Republic. As they ventured deep into the forest, they stumbled upon strange periscope-like pipes sticking out of the ground. Curiosity got the better of them, and they began investigating. Behind some bushes, they found a hidden doorway, covered by a large wooden lid. Beneath it was an entrance to an old, abandoned army bunker. Inside, the bunker was a maze of tunnels leading off in different directions, each intersecting a long central corridor. The friends stuck close to each other, fearing they might get lost. As they ventured deeper, they noticed strange German writings on the walls, some of which translated to ominous messages like "Help" and "Hello Satan, I love you." The air grew mustier, and the walls more decayed the further they went. One large room contained a strange machine, possibly abandoned in haste, as a single shoe was still stuck in the sludge on the floor. The unsettling thought of someone fleeing in a hurry crossed their minds, especially since no one would leave behind a shoe unless they were in serious trouble. The history of the bunker remained a mystery. It was believed to be a military structure, perhaps used during World War II, but the circumstances surrounding its abandonment were unknown. Whether the soldiers who once occupied it had written the eerie messages on the walls was something Alex and Paul would never know. In the last story, for safety reasons, we'll refer to the individual as simply Ben. Ben, an avid hiker, was visiting his brother in upstate New York near Downsville in the fall of 2016. While hiking a narrow trail close to his brother's property, Ben came across a suspicious duffel bag lying in the woods. The bag appeared relatively new and wasn't covered in dirt or debris, but there was a foul smell coming from it, like something rotting inside. Summoning the courage, Ben was about to open the bag when he heard footsteps approaching from the forest. A man's voice called out, "That's mine! Please don't touch it!" Ben turned to see a large man in a dirty jacket and jeans, quickly making his way toward the bag. The stranger snatched up the duffel bag and, after a brief exchange, claimed he was storing the kill from his hunt inside. Ben, knowing that hunters typically use coolers for fresh kills, didn't believe him, especially since the smell was far too strong for something freshly killed. Nervously, Ben apologized and continued down the trail. He could sense the man watching him as he walked away, but when he turned around, the man was gone. The encounter left him shaken, and as he continued along the path, he started hearing leaves crunching behind him. Every time he looked back, there was nothing, but the sensation of being followed grew stronger. Eventually, Ben spotted the man again, stalking him from behind a tree. Without hesitation, Ben broke into a run, racing through the woods. Exhausted, he stumbled upon an abandoned property and managed to get inside through the back door. He hid under a cot in one of the bedrooms, listening as the man's heavy footsteps echoed through the house. The stranger moved from room to room. His breathing labored from the chase, but luckily he never checked under the cot. After what felt like an eternity, the man finally left. Ben stayed hidden for another half-hour before making his escape and heading toward the road, where he eventually flagged down a passing car for help. When he finally reached his brother's house, Ben called the police to report the incident, but what exactly was in that duffel bag remains a mystery.